from Vicious Circle Films and Breaking Glass Pictures is a 2011, I believe, release on DVD of Dawning, a movie that is from 2009. Um, I watched this thing when it first came out. I don't remember now, though, if I had actually got a screener directly from the director at the time, or if maybe it was sent to Horophilia, the old podcast I used to do. But I remember watching this movie way back then and really, really enjoying it. And then when it actually came out on DVD here later on, I won a contest on some blog and got a copy of it. So yeah, so I figured since I haven't watched it since 2009, now would be a good time to jump back into it and watch it. Real quick there, the leading lady that we see there on the front of this, her name escapes me, but she would go on to actually play the lead role in Contracted. So, yeah, that is one that stands out. And it stood out to me at the time because she looked almost identical to a girl I was kind of talking to at the time this movie came out. So, yeah, nostalgia, it's a hell of a thing. But this is kind of a simple horror film. It's one of the few slow building horror films that I don't mind. Because if you've watched any of my videos on here, you know that 9 times out of 10, I will complain and bitch and moan because a movie is slow or a movie is a little too artsy and being slow. This one is kind of a little bit artsy, not much, but it's definitely a little bit of a slow build. And I don't mind because, especially the first time I ever watched it, the suspense kind of built it up. So basically, this girl and her brother are going to see their dad and his new woman in the woods somewhere. There's tension that is already high. They don't like the new woman. The brother smokes pot and she don't like that. The dad's a former alcoholic and they don't like that. The dog is, kicked out the house because it has fleas and she don't like that. So there's drama to be had everywhere. And as if that wasn't bad enough, this dude just shows up at the door and he's a mess. And he says his girlfriend has basically been killed by whatever's in the woods. And there's something in the woods that is there and it's evil and it's lurking. And the tension automatically, starts getting even higher then because they don't believe him. And then slowly but surely they realize something is going on and something is in the woods. And not only that, but it appears to be that whatever is in the woods is starting to make these people do some crazy stuff. So, yeah, that is Dawning in a nutshell. It is not a gore fest. I love gore fest, but it's not gore fest. It's just a solid story. It's spooky. Kind of feels like an independent episode of The Twilight Zone, if that makes sense to you. Although it's a little bit more in the adult rating. Not that there's a gigantic body count either, but it's just a movie that I thought was well acted. It was well directed. It looks really good. It is a lower budget film, so it's not something that's going to pop off the screen, but there is a whole lot of substance to this, and I believe that mixed with the atmosphere, mixed with the solid acting, and mixed with the just uncertainty of what is going to happen next while you're watching the movie prevails in making this movie what it ends up being. And I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Thought it was probably, if I remember correctly, I think I had it on my best of list in 20 or 2009, which forgive me if I don't remember because at this point that's been what, like 16 years ago? Yeah, time flies. But the movie is still solid. So if you can go get you a copy of this, which I checked on eBay, it is relatively cheap. It's another one of the movies that I don't think there's a Blu-ray of. So there's so many things out there that was decent that we still don't have Blu-ray copies of. And I'm starting to worry at this point that we're not going to ever get Blu-ray copies of them. But there is some character profile pictures there. You get writer, director, audio commentary, cast audio commentary, 1 hour of behind-the-scenes featurettes with exclusive interviews, deleted scenes, plus more. There's a trailer on this thing for ninjas. I think it's ninjas, even though it should be ninja versus vampires. And I think that may be one of the only Breaking Glass picture movies that I really liked. So, even though it looks really, really cheap, so maybe I should pick that up and give that another watch after all this time. But for now, Dawning on DVD. It's an oldie. It's underrated. You don't really hear nobody talk about it, and I think they should, because I think it's probably, if you can look past the fact there's not a whole lot of gore here, and if you can just appreciate if you like built and slow burn horror movies, you're gonna love this. But if you don't, I still think there's enough here to find to appreciate.